Hello everyone, and welcome to Fara's Carry Guide. Today's episode we're going to be looking at advanced scouting. More of a recap of what we've already covered in episodes 4 and 5 with plane control. So first things, we're just going to go straight into our training Welsh tactics map, and for example clips we've made now a playlist which covers whenever I describe something on the classroom, there'll be an example playlist showing things actually happening in real games. So without further ado, into the WoW's tactics planning map. Here we are. So in this particular instance, we are playing on Neighbours, the map Neighbours. And with advanced scouting, there are realistically only 3 main topics that are covered with when it comes to scouting. The first one is, who do we spot? Like, what's the intention here? Like, is there an area we want to spot? Is there a person we want to spot? Then we have to decide, like, how long are we going to spot there for? There's the element of what plane or what function or tool that we have are we going to spot with? And then I guess a crucial element is when we're looking at what to spot, we're also thinking what could be incoming to our team. So in this instance, we could say we're spotting for torpedoes as well to give our team kind of a reaction. Or time to react, I should say. So in Neighbours, there are 3 capture points in the center in domination mode, top, right, bottom, left. In this particular example, our destroyers have spawned and they're going to go to the Bravo and to the Charlie capture points. So to begin with, I'm going to send fighters first because I want to load my bombers second and keep them as a group so I can possibly attack something. So I don't want to do dive bomber first, drop their payload and scout, because I don't feel it's that urgent that we get there first. But I don't know where the enemy is at the moment. What I do want to do is to give my destroyers some line of sight, so they have some advance warning of anything that's potentially incoming. Now let's say hypothetically, oh look, there's an incoming destroyer. He also wants to contest the capture point. Maybe I can bomb him. The idea here is that, well, this destroyer is now the priority target. So when it comes to who to spot, and this is something that you have to take with your own experience, the destroyer has now become our target because he is a high priority target, he's threatening our destroyers, he's somewhat isolated, the enemy destroyer, so we can maybe kill him off, but also, is he going to fire torpedoes at our destroyers? And if that's the case, we can either spot with fighters or we can use dive bombers. And when it comes to torpedo spotting, look at the terrain and see how he might approach with torps. There are bottleneck islands, which means we can waypoint our planes back and forth so that they fly between gaps and they spot ahead of our friendly ships. So if torps were coming from our hostile destroyer to the friendly destroyer, then we could spot in advance back and forth, and then we would see torpedoes incoming, and it would give this destroyer much more time to react, dodge, or take appropriate action. And it's not just destroyers, it can also be battleships and other ships as well. Just once a torpedo is spotted, it remains spotted. So it's a very important function that's sometimes missed by aircraft carriers if they get the opportunity. The other question we have to then answer is, how long do we actually spot this guy? Because if we are the only ones actually making spotting, then maybe perhaps we'll use a sacrificial dive bomber. We might try even bomb him, and then we'll keep the empty dive bomber around so he can evade fighters, enemy fighters that is, if they come along. But is anyone actually shooting at this destroyer? Is anyone actively doing something against him? If yes, well then keep spotting him because he's being shot at. Is the enemy destroyer not liking the fact that we're spotting him and running away from our scout? Well, if that's the case, keep spotting him, because our simple presence of keeping him litting up is making him feel unwary, and he's leaving the capture zone so that our own ships can grab it. If, however, the destroyer doesn't mind being spotted, is continuing to duel, our team's being ineffectual, or maybe they're not even fighting him, or maybe there's just nobody there and everyone's gone down to the south side, you have to think, is it really worth me continuing to scout this destroyer? There's no purpose. Like, there's no need to spot torpedoes. We don't need to be right on top of them. We can watch in bottlenecks. Nobody's actually fighting or engaging him. You know roughly where his location is by last known location on the minimap. At that point, you're entering the realm of how long do you spot him for? Well, it's not really that important that you continue to spot him anymore. Perhaps it's more valuable to do something elsewhere in the map. If he obviously is the last ship in the game, then obviously keep him spotted. But this is more of your experience. You decide what you want to do. You know, you don't need to spot the enemy at all times, all the time. You have to do it when it has some sort of meaningful consequence. And as we've already said, the last topic was spotting for torpedoes. So that's kind of advanced scouting in a nutshell. It's not a very large topic, but it is a very important one. Providing sight for your team is exceptionally important, as well as sight denial, which is more of a fighter control technique. Knowing in a game where there are not just one destroyer, but if there are multiple 4 destroyers, it can be quite important. You might even consider using both dive bombers to spot flanks, to spot approaching vectors for destroyers so they can't sneak in around your team. Spotting centers or doing large swathing flight paths if it's a high tier game, watching long range torpedoes coming in. These are important things that you can do, especially when your battleships might be more static, firing at range, especially these days with very stealthy torpedoes that come in out of nowhere and can cause floodings and huge amount of damage. And then, as we said, if we do get a target that's caught off guard or perhaps pushed too far, we can focus on him and kill him off. Alright, that is the end of advanced scouting. Coming up next is flight deck management. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.